Have you ever wondered why people would willingly go into a dark, abandoned hospital looking for ghosts?
Or how about this one? Why do we purposely hit play on the scariest movie we can find late at night when we're all alone?
And for that matter, why would anyone play those creepy paranormal games? You know, the ones that come with a giant warning label that basically says, "Don't you dare play this!"
It just doesn't seem to add up, right? I mean, fear is this primal, deeply uncomfortable emotion. Its whole job is to keep us safe. So why do we actively chase it down? For fun.
Well, it might sound completely irrational, but believe it or not, psychology has a really solid answer. This is all about the fascinating, intricate ways our own minds work, and we're about to break it all down.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the pleasure of safe fear. Yeah, you heard that right. It all starts with a very specific chemical cocktail getting mixed right inside your brain.
So picture this. You're watching a scary movie. Your heart's pounding, you're jumping at every sound, but your brain knows you're perfectly safe on your couch. That knowledge of safety is the key. It allows your brain to flood your system with adrenaline for that thrill, but then it immediately follows it up with a nice hit of dopamine, the pleasure chemical. That 1-2 punch creates this amazing euphoric high.
And you know what? Psychologists have a pretty cool name for this whole process. It's called benign masochism. It's this idea that we can actually get real pleasure from negative feelings like fear, but only when we know for sure that there's no real threat. It's kind of like the ultimate emotional loophole.
But it's not just about a chemical rush. This goes so much deeper. Now we're moving past brain chemistry and into some of the biggest questions we have as humans. And this helps explain why ghosts, in particular, are just so psychologically irresistible to us.
You see, our brains are funny. They hate uncertainty, but they're also incredibly curious. And ghosts live in this perfect, fascinating middle ground, right here at the intersection of science and belief. On one hand, you have the rational world, and on the other, the world of mystery and imagination. Ghosts challenge everything we think we know, and that's what makes them so compelling. And digging even deeper, there's a profound truth about being human. We're one of the only creatures on Earth that knows one day we're going to die. And that awareness creates this baseline anxiety. There's a concept called terror management theory, which says that to cope with that fear, we embrace big cultural beliefs, like the idea of an afterlife, that give us meaning and suggest that maybe some part of us goes on.
And right there, that's the great paradox. Even though ghosts are scary, the very idea that they exist is also strangely comforting. It suggests our consciousness might actually survive after our bodies are gone. So in a weird way, our obsession with spirits is really a hunt for reassurance against our single biggest fear.
This all leads to what we do about these fears. It's about taking control of terror. This is where we see a psychological shift from being a passive victim of fear to becoming an active explorer of it.
Just think about ghost hunting. It's the perfect example. It's a journey. You start at step 1, feeling helpless, a victim of the unknown. But the moment you decide to investigate, to take that first step down the dark hallway, you're moving to step 2. You're seeking control. You become the explorer. And that simple act of confronting what scares you gives you an incredible feeling of mastery.
Okay, so that makes sense for exploring a place that's supposedly already haunted. But what about actually inviting something in through paranormal games and rituals? Well, that's where a completely different psychological principle kicks in.
It's called reactance, and it's basically the don't press the red button effect. You know that feeling. When someone tells you not to do something, part of you immediately wants to do it, just to prove you have free will. The stronger and more dire the warning that comes with a paranormal game, the more our brain defiantly wants to test those boundaries.
And let's be honest, we rarely do these things alone, do we? This brings us to a huge piece of the puzzle, the powerful social side of fear.
It turns out that going through a scary experience with other people is like social superglue. When you survive a haunted house with your friends, or you all jump at the same time during a movie, your brains release all these bonding hormones. It builds trust, creates emotional closeness. It's basically a shortcut to friendship.
But here's the thing. Whether we're alone or with friends, and whether ghosts are actually real or not, the experience of seeing one is often something our own minds create, using a few predictable mental shortcuts.
Let's just break down the big 3. First, there's confirmation bias. If you go into a place expecting to find ghosts, your brain will actively hunt for any little piece of evidence that supports that belief. Then there's pattern recognition. Our brains are absolute machines at finding meaningful patterns, like seeing a face in a shadowy corner or hearing a whisper in random static. And finally, you've got the expectation effect. If you expect to see a ghost, that creak from the floorboards isn't just the house settling. Your brain jumps to the conclusion that it must be a ghost. Your brain is basically priming itself for a paranormal experience.
So it's really important to know where the line is. Healthy fear is entertainment. Think of it like a roller coaster you choose to get on and off. You are in control. It becomes unhealthy when that fascination turns into an obsession, when it starts causing real-world anxiety and messing with your sleep. At that point, you're not in charge anymore. The fear is.
So when you put all of these pieces together, you realize something really fundamental. We don't actually love ghosts. We love what they represent. We're drawn to the mystery, the safe rush of fear, the search for meaning, and that powerful feeling of control that we get from confronting it all. And that's why these stories and experiences have such an incredible grip on us. Horror isn't about pushing us away from the world. It's really about pulling us closer to the fundamental questions of what it means to be human, to be alive, and to be afraid.
So, I'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you seek out a good scare, ask yourself, are you doing it because you want to be afraid, or is it because on some level you're just trying to understand fear itself?